Hello, students. This is Purushottam Vishwakarma, and I welcome you to this third part of the chapter Sectors of the Indian Economy. Till now, you have finished the first and second part of this chapter. In those two lectures, I have told you about different sectors of Indian economy like primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. Along with, I have told you about GDP and how GDP is calculated. Furthermore, historical changes in these sectors, how there has been a shift from primary to tertiary sector. We have already discussed about unemployment and how to create more employment. In this video, we are going to capture two topics. One is organized and unorganized sectors, and next, that is second one, public and private sectors. So without any delay, let's begin the chapter. Division of sectors as organized and unorganized sectors. In this video we are going to cover organized sectors and unorganized sectors. From your NCERT textbook, there is a picture. As you can see here, there is a story of Kanta. Kanta works in an office. She attends her office from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Hours of work are fixed. She gets her salary regularly at the end of every month without any delay. In addition to the salary, she also gets provident fund as per the rules laid down by the government. She is also given provident fund, that is PF. She also gets medical and other allowances like insurance and other such allowances. Kanta does not go to office on Sundays. She has off days on Sundays. This is a paid holiday, but that Sunday is a paid holiday. When she joined work, she was given an appointment letter stating all the terms and conditions of work. When she joined that office, she was given an appointment letter in which it was clearly mentioned what are the terms and conditions. So, this is an example of organized sector. Now, let's see another story of her neighbor Kamal. Kamal is Kanta's neighbor. He is a daily wage worker, laborer in a nearby grocery shop. As you can see here, it is a grocery shop. At 7:30 he goes to the shop at 7:30. Early morning he has to go to the shop and works till 8 p.m. and he has to work there till 8 p.m. more than 12 hours. He gets no other allowances. There he gets no other allowances apart from his wages. He gets only his daily wages or monthly wages. He is not paid for the days he doesn't work, and he gets no payment for the days he doesn't go to shop. That means if he doesn't go to the shop on Sunday, no payment for Sunday. If there is a holiday, no payment for that holiday. He has therefore no leave or paid holidays. As you have noticed in the story of Kanta, Kanta has paid leave, paid holidays. But here, Kamal doesn't have any paid leave or holidays. Nor was he given any formal letter. He was not given any appointment letter saying that he has been employed in the shop. There is no proof with him that he has been employed in the shop. He can be asked to leave any time by his employer. So the employer can ask him any time whenever he wants to chuck him out. He can ask him to go away, leave my shop, I don't need your services. So this is the story of unorganized sector. Kamal is a worker in unorganized sector while Kanta is working in organized sector. Let's know more about it. Organized sector. Organized sector covers those enterprises. It covers those enterprises or places of work, shops, factories, where the terms of employment are regular. You are given an appointment letter, you have your job card, and therefore people have assured work. The people working in these shops, these institutions, these enterprises have assured work. They have security of their work. Their work is secure, their job is secure. They are registered by the government and have to follow its rules and regulations. These sectors are registered by the government and they have to follow the rules and regulations set by the government, which are given in various laws. There are many laws for saving the interest of organized sector workers. For example, Factories Act. Another such act is Factories Act. Minimum wages, they have to pay minimum wages that is set by the government. Payment of gratuity act, after retirement they get gratuity. Shops and establishments act and other such acts are also there to save the interest of organized sector workers. It is called organized because it has some formal processes and procedures. It has to follow some processes and procedures. That is why it is known as organized sector. Not only that, workers in the organized sector enjoy security of employment. They have job security. Their job is secured by the government and rules and regulations. They are expected to work only a fixed number of hours. They have fixed number of hours for their work. And even if they work more, suppose they work for more hours, they are given overtime by the employer. They have to be paid. The employer has to pay them over time for extra work. They also get several other benefits from the employers like paid leave, payment during holidays, provident fund, gratuity. All these other benefits are given by the employer to organized sector workers. They are supposed to get medical benefits and they are provided medical benefits Under the laws, the factory manager has to ensure facilities like drinking water and a safe working environment. In other words, they have a favorable condition for work along with basic facilities. When they retire, these workers get pensions as well. And all these things happen only in organized sector. Let's know about unorganized sector. Opposite of organized sector is unorganized sector. The unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units which are largely outside the control of the government. As you have noticed, organized sector is registered by government, but unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units which are largely outside the control of the government. There is no control over them. Government doesn't have any control over these organizations, these enterprises. There are rules and regulations, no doubt. They have rules and regulations, but these rules and regulations are not followed because there is no control of government over them. Jobs here are low paid. Those who are working in such companies, in such sectors, they are given low wages and often not regular. The employer sometimes pay them, sometimes not. There is no provision for overtime, paid leave, holidays, leave due to sickness. Apart from salary that is not given on time, they don't have any other facility. There is no provision for overtime, paid leave, holidays, leave due to sickness, etc. Employment is not secure, just opposite of organized sector. Here in this sector, employment is not secure. People can be asked to leave without any reason. They have authority to chuck the people out without any reason. When there is less work, such as during some seasons, like there is a season of ready made clothes in Ludhiana, they have work. In off season, they are asked to leave the factories. Some people may be asked to leave. A lot also depends on the whims of the employer. Whims here means desires of the employer. A lot also depends on the desires of the employer whether he wants to give them job or not, whether he wants to keep them or not. This sector includes a large number of people who are employed on their own. There are many who have their own shop, they have established their own jobs, doing small jobs such as selling on the street or doing repair work. These sectors, these works are termed under unorganized sector. Similarly, in the same way, farmers work on their own field and hire laborers as and when they require. There are many farmers who work on their own land, and there are many who are rich, hires laborer as and when they require. In the season itself, whenever they have a need, they hire some laborers. So all these are examples of unorganized sector. Organized sector is far more better to work in than unorganized sector. Now the question arises, how to protect worker in the unorganized sector? How can we protect worker in the unorganized sector from the claws of those rich men? How can we protect? Especially in rural areas, the unorganized sector mostly comprises of landless agricultural laborers. In rural areas, it comprises of landless agricultural laborers who doesn't have land. Small and marginal farmers, those who are very small and marginal, not having any piece of land. Sharecroppers and artisans, sharecroppers, those who work on others' field, and artisans such as weavers, blacksmith, carpenters, and goldsmith. All these come into unorganized sector. Urban areas, unorganized sector comprises mainly of workers in a small scale industry, casual workers in construction, trade and transport, those who work casually, not permanently, in construction, trade and transport, and those who work as street vendors, head load workers, garment makers, rag pickers, all these are under unorganized sector, where in cities. Not only that, we also find that majority of workers from scheduled caste, tribes and backward communities find themselves in the unorganized sector. So what can we do? What can be done for their welfare? Government should look into the matter and provide them all those facilities required by making rules and regulations. Not only by making, by implementing those rules and regulations by force if required. Sectors in terms of ownership, public and private sectors. Public sector, what is public sector? Under public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provides all the services. And the motive is the welfare of public. For example, railways or post office. And if we talk about private sector, in private sector, ownership of assets and delivery of services is in hands of private individuals or companies, and their main motive is earning money, making profit, more and more profit. And under private sector, such companies are there: Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, that is Tisco, or Reliance Industries Limited, that is RIL. Now, before we end the summary of the chapter, in this chapter we have looked at ways of classifying economic activities into some meaningful groups like primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. One way of doing this is to examine whether the activity relates to the primary, secondary, or tertiary sectors. Further, we discussed the data for India for the last 30 years shows that while goods and services produced in the tertiary sector contributes the most to GDP, as I have told you, there has been a shift from primary to tertiary sector in terms of share in GDP. The employment remains in the primary sector. Even today, half of the total population is engaged in primary sector. We have also seen that what can we do? What all can be done for increasing employment? How can we create more employment? Another classification is to consider whether people are working in organized sector or unorganized sectors. So we have just discussed in this video organized and unorganized sector. Most people are working in the unorganized sector and protection is necessary for them. There is a need, there is an urgent need for them. Their rights should be protected. We also looked at the difference between private and activities, public sector activities, and why it is important for public activities to focus on certain areas. So, what is the importance of public sector activities and private sector activities? We all have discussed. That's all in this video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.